Welcome, everybody, and thank you all for joining us for a webinar from the National Association of EMS Educators. If you're a returning listener, welcome back, and if you're new to the NAEMSE webinar series, we are very glad that you joined us today. We are proud to announce that today's webinar is in partnership with Laerdal Medical. Please submit your questions at any time by typing them in the Q&A panel on your Zoom screen. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel and website following the presentation's conclusion. I'm going to pass it over now to Christine Ford from Laerdal Medical. Christine, thank you so much for being here with us today to share your knowledge and experience with us, and we look forward to the presentation.
Thanks so much, Rio, and hello, everyone. As she mentioned, my name is Christine Ford. I am with Laerdal's pre-hospital team, and thank you so much for joining us today for our EMS product showcase. It's designed to help you optimize EMS training efficiency and performance. We're excited to share Laerdal product insights that are tailored for EMS educators and training professionals. So I am pleased to introduce our two speakers today, Ed Coleclough, a Laerdal Educational Services Specialist who also has a robust background in EMS, and Dr. Liz Travis, Pre-Hospital Account Manager here at Laerdal, who is a nationally registered paramedic and also holds a doctorate in health science. Today, we will cover a few of our simulation training options, including RQI for EMS, Resusci Anne QCPR, and Monitor by Laerdal. And by the end of today's session, we hope you'll have a better understanding of the importance of RQI and EMS and how it can help make your AHA certification process more efficient, better understand the flexibility and modularity options that are available to customize the Resusci Anne QCPR, and how it can also grow with your training programs over time, as well as an overview of Monitor by Laerdal, which is an economical option that can bring both AED and ventilation simulation to your training scenarios without the need for additional equipment. Of course, we'll leave time for Q&A. So now I will turn things over to Dr. Liz Travis.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, everybody, again for joining. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. I'd like to talk to you about RQI for EMS and really the importance and the benefit of this program. RQI is unique in that it was born of a partnership with the AHA and Laerdal Medical. So you're looking at Laerdal's wonderful mannequins and feedback and the AHA's science. There's actually a couple different ways you can go with RQI. We have closer to a traditional 2-year model. If you're just looking to get into digital resuscitation, perhaps you need to enhance your QA/QI efforts. This is a great way to do it, so you can see how everybody's doing with their compliance and how they're doing with their skills as well. But we also have the gold standard, which is our quarterly training. That's a low dose, high frequency model of training, which basically means we understand through various science that at around 3 to 6 months, providers start to lose their skills ability. So those skills are decaying. I love to think we use them all the time, but as a medic on the trucks, I know that I probably don't work as many arrests doing as much CPR as I probably think. So this really helps reinforce that CPR skill and proficiency on the user level. It's a lovely tool to use on the admin side. Everything is basically done for you in terms of cards and instructor-led information. All of that is actually done on the back end. And then as far as skills, that's done on skill stations. So there is actually no need for instructors here, and it will certify you in BLS, ALS, and PALS. It is self-directed. Individuals can go in and they can do it on their own time. This is really nice, especially if you have an agency where you might have to backfill or send people out to get this training done. They can actually just do it on their computers. They can do it on a tablet at their house if they want to, but really more people are doing this at the station and then come to the skills and do those. It offers that feedback, right? It's going to do a baseline for people that's blind, and then it's going to do a continuous feedback during those quarterly skills that they're doing so they know what they need to adjust in the moment for a much better CPR and ventilation experience for the patient and better resuscitation outcomes. We have seen real world success in this. I actually implemented this at my own agency, absolutely loved it. And we had providers come back from a night shift and walk in and say, we got a guy back in 1 round of compressions. And we had long response times as well, well over 8 minutes, which is what you want. So we've seen that, I've seen that, and we've seen that from other agencies on how they're doing these things. We have a couple different abilities for you all when it comes to looking at how people are doing, analytics, great site feedback for providers as they're using this. So it's really a robust program that will take that time from your admins and let you put it somewhere maybe for contextualized training for special initiatives. If you're doing perhaps a blood program, maybe you're starting POCUS, things of that nature, you can kind of take that, you know that everybody's trained at that level that the AHA wants them to be trained at, and then they can come in and layer in that additional skills. So I'd like to actually show you the resuscitation skill, one of the skill stations that we use, so you can kind of get a good idea of what it looks like and roughly how it could work in EMS. This one is portable. We do actually have an option for a standalone cart, and the RQI quarterly programs and the HARCO Complete, which is the every 2 years, those can both be done on these stations. So I'd like to show that to you now.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Travis. I work for Laerdal Medical, and I'm actually also a practicing paramedic in Virginia. Today I'm going to go over with you the RQI GO program's GO bag. The RQI programs are a combination of the AHA and Laerdal coming together to help save more lives by making certification and quality credentialing as easy as possible for you. And that's part of where the GO bag comes into play. The GO bag folds up, as you can see, into a very easy rolling bag and fits in the back of just about any vehicle. Once you get it to where you need it to be, you're going to place it on the floor, and we'll start by opening it up so that you can go over your skills. So once you get your GO bag down onto the floor, what you're going to do is you're going to separate the baby component off of the actual main compartment. It's Velcroed on, so it's just an easy tear off. Also within the baby component, this is where you'll have your charger. You can use this without plugging it in if it's fully charged, but we do recommend plugging this into a wall when you get to where you need to go. You'll also notice this blue flap, which will be important in a moment. So we'll open up the baby here and just kind of set it aside. So as you can see, you have your infant component, you have your infant BVM, and then you do have a pouch with additional infant items should you need them. That's Velcroed inside the little pouch there. Once you get your little baby open, go ahead and open up the main compartment of the GO bag. It's the same system, just 2 zippers and some Velcro to get there. Additionally, on the front, it does tell you how to connect the GO bag. So if you need a reminder, that's a good reminder. This is your other blue flap. So you'll make sure that your cords here and from your other blue flap here are all plugged in. And then in this next pocket, you have your tablet, which acts as your computer in this instance, and it does have a little stand. I always recommend that when you're doing your skills, you stand your tablet where you can see it so that you can see the feedback metrics. As you're doing adult skills, again, you're going to want to open that jacket and make sure that you're getting your compressions correct with the feedback that you're going to get on the monitor over there. The adult does also come with extra parts, and they both come with a BVM. Once you've done your skills, you can just roll it all back together and roll it up to the next place you need to take it for the next group that needs to do their skills.
So I really like that solution for EMS. It goes on the ground, so you can practice as you play. The other thing is the baby actually can go on the table. So you're doing your compressions like you would in real world. We find our adults normally in a rest on the floor, and our infants, we want to move to a hard surface on a table to make it easier to do those compressions. The other really lovely thing about the physical part of the RQI program is these items are still maintained by Laerdal. So it's a benefit that we really offer to you guys when using this program. You don't really have to worry about replacing things and parts. We walk through you with that journey on both sides. We're always there to help you, whether it be with the platform or the physical actual skills component. The other video I really wanted to show you all was my good friend, firefighter Bob Kelly. He's also the training specialist for Columbus Division of Fire. They use RQI programs currently, and he has a really just wonderful story about how it's helped their agency that I thought would be lovely to share with you all. So we will let Bob kind of speak to his experience with the program as well at his agency.
So the Columbus Division of Fire, we have well over 1,600 firefighters, 800 of which are trained to the paramedic level. We also provide heavy rescue, bomb, K9, hazmat for most of Central Ohio. So there's a lot of training that needs to go on to maintain those certifications. So what we were looking at, why we were looking at RQI, was to really get some of our training dates cleared off the calendar. BLS, ACLS, and PALS for that amount of people every 2 years was really a time vampire on our schedule. So we were looking at RQI as a way to free that up. And then also we have to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. And a lot of our people we were bringing down for ACLS and PALS, we were having to backfill those spots on company with overtime. We don't have the luxury of putting a sign in the window saying we'll be back in 8 hours. You know, when people call 911, they expect people to be there. So we were backfilling over half of the members that we were bringing down for class. And by switching to RQI, that was going to free up quite a bit of revenue that either we could utilize in other places that were needed, or would simply go back into the general fund for other uses for the citizens of Columbus. First was finance. And I don't know if it's the same for every government agency, but our finance department was really stuck on the big number, the upfront number. And it took a lot of work for us to go back over the last 2 years. How much did we spend in overtime backfilling? How much did we spend in overtime bringing instructors in so that we could show to finance that this is actually going to save money? Yes, you're shelling out a little bit more at a one-time period, but over the course of that 2-year period, we're actually going to be saving money. Now, of course, once we got them on board, their question was, can it start tomorrow? So then it put it back on us. Okay, how are we going to implement this? Are we going to bring our people to the cart, or are we going to take our cart to the people? And we opted to take the cart to our people. So initially, when we entered in RQI, we had 8 carts. We kept 1 at our training academy, and then we put 1 in each of our 7 battalions. And then every 2 weeks, we would rotate that cart within that battalion so that every station would have the ability to use that cart for a 2-week period so that we could help our people get quick access to it, knock out the cart portion of it. When we renewed our contract with RQI, we opted for an additional 8 carts. And what we did with that is we put 1 cart stationary in each battalion. And we picked a firehouse with a large number of firefighters there, multiple pieces of apparatus. So instead of leaving it at a firehouse where maybe there's only 6 people on duty, we had the stationary cart at a station where there was 15 or 16 people on duty, and then still rotated that other cart. And we found that the carts are incredibly durable and easy to move. We have a cargo van. We put a lift gate on the back. We simply unplug it from the one station, roll it out to the van, lift it up in there, take it to the next station, plug it in, and they're ready to go. So like Ann and Amy, we looked at data because data is something concrete, tangible, and something that we can show everyone. And so we looked at the analytics that we got from the RQI system along with the CARES registry information. So where are we standing, not only in Central Ohio, but across the nation. And what we found was we were doing really good adult CPR. Our baseline and entry into RQI, we were at 90% for ventilations and compressions. We have since moved those up to 98 and 99 respectively.
Just love to hear from Bob. And as you know, this is very much a high-level overview of this program. There's a good bit of parts and pieces to it and some additional things here and there that really make it robust for EMS. But if you wanted to learn more about it, please scan this QR code. feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat, and I saw some questions come through, so I'll work on responding to those for you guys as well. But I would like to hand things over now to my colleague Ed, who will talk about the Resusci Anne and the monitor by Laerdal. Ed, you're still on mute.
So sorry, but there we go. Is that better? Thank you, Elizabeth. We had a little technical crisis. I'm in a noisy environment, so I had to get a new headset. So thank you everybody for joining us, and I appreciate you taking the time today to join us. And a lot of the message I'm going to share with you today is going to sort of resonate what Elizabeth and even what Firefighter Kelly said about modularity and even considering budget and how we purchase and do things. And we really sort of want to look at Resusci Anne as a platform, something that really can help you in your challenges as EMS educators, right? Because one of the things that we identified early on, actually in partnership with the National Association of EMS Educators, was the super study really identified some of the barriers that you have when it comes to education. And it really identified implementation, right? And use model, right? How, we have these simulators, but the nickname for the study was the skeletons in the closet, because a lot of the technology was there, but wasn't being utilized either by complexity or lack of knowledge or lack of understanding. And so really, as we go through these products, we really want to emphasize the ease of use and really sort of the ability to build upon them for a variety of different educational needs that you may have. So we're really going to focus on the Resusci Anne, which is the same legacy product that Laerdal is very well known for, but also the foundation for the RQI program as well. So when we talk about quality of CPR and feedback, it's important to recognize that the Resusci Anne line really does provide you, whether it's the adult, the child, or the baby, those key factors, including data, things that we can measure, right? That old traditional line that we can't improve that we don't measure, right? So CPR is a prime example of that. And with the QCPR line, we can really add some real-time feedback. We can do performance tracking. There's an opportunity to provide the learners with visual and auditory cues to help improve their psychomotor skills and their overall performance. The technology is integrated across a variety of different platforms and technology to allow you both to deliver the education and utilize these fundamental platforms, but also to sort of extrapolate some of that data as well. And more importantly, the message that we hear so often is that it has to be durable, right? Robust. I teach a lot of different clinical disciplines, and as a former EMS personnel, I can attest to it needs to be durable, right? So the Resusci Anne platform is very robust and does really require very low to minimal maintenance as well. But the main takeaway message is really about the modularity, that these are a platform which you can build upon as your educational objectives expand and change as well. So it's not just a CPR mannequin. It is much more than that. Just want to have a quick look at this video that really illustrates our Resusci Anne QCPR mannequin. And initially here we see that QCPR feedback that is so important, right? Provides not only the feedback to the instructor, but also to the participant. Fabulous feedback on ventilation, right? So again, providing ventilations either with just a basic BVM or supraglottic airways. You can provide all the traditional standard airway maneuvers, so head tilt, chin lift, jaw thrusts, all of those things. And again, extremely robust, right? Because that's what she was built for, including cricoid pressure. So you're going to meet all your protocols and all your standards and so forth. Very basic. And again, talk about robust. It's a manually generated pulse for the carotid, so we don't have to worry about failures of mechanisms and so forth. Multiple chest springs, so we can increase or decrease the resistance as well. She comes with a optional airway head that allows you supraglottic airway devices. So however you manage your airway, you'll be able to transition that level of practice to your training. Multiple pupil sets. So if you want to do head injuries, things like that, opiate overdoses, we know that's an important thing. But just basic skills of doing ventilation can be tested with gastric inflation. Integrates very well with a series of different defib products, including ShockLink, that allows you to use your defibrillator safely and affordably, right? The cost of ownership and integration as well. But again, as a platform, she comes with multiple accessory kits that you can add, like limbs and bleeding modules for the Stop the Bleed campaign, or simply just practice extrication with full limbs and so forth, rolling and doing spinal motion restriction. Those kind of things can be achieved very easily with this platform. Really allows us to build as we go on, right? So think of her again as a platform, allows you to add those kind of things that we know are so important to the EMS market, including things like our trauma limbs, and you can see those down the bottom right. Again, makes her a full body mannequin. So I think it's important because I think we all have a mind block sometime. Resusci Anne is that torso with often no arms and no legs, and she can really be rounded out to provide any of the learning objectives that you may need, including things like IV arms and so forth. So fabulous, fabulous base model to really deliver, again, all your learning objectives. So the question always becomes with Resusci Anne, then it can be a little overwhelming with so many different options and so many different things. How do I pick and how do I select the actual best fit for me? And there's a variety of ways of doing that, and there's multiple. So, and the other thing I have to say is you really must visit laerdal.com, right? All kinds of products and solutions to meet all kinds of your needs. And there's all kinds of tools there, including resource materials like content and other things that have been very specifically designed for our customers. But one of the great things is there's actually a configuration tool that allows you, through just 3 simple steps, identify one of the possible solutions that may meet your needs. So please visit our configuration tool. It's fun to play with, to see what different things you can add to matches your needs with the product and solution that we have. Another great resource is we're so lucky to have Christine Ford on the webinar today. We have stood up a new EMS team that specifically understands and is there to help you address any of your needs. So you can reach out to our EMS team. They can consider them a consultant, right? So they can really help navigate the variety of products and solutions that we have for any of your learning objectives. So take a moment, if you have your phone in front of you, please scan the QR code. Again, it will drive you to the Resusci Anne QCPR page, where you can learn more about all the parameters of the feedback that are available through the Resusci Anne. But I hope you will also look at her as an opportunity, as a foundational modular unit that you can add different solutions and different modules to meet your educational needs. With that, I think we're going to move on to our Monitor by Laerdal. And as a former EMS person, as a former educator, and just a general simulation geek, I was so excited when I saw the Monitor by Laerdal being introduced. And this is a direct result as well of hearing what our customers had to say, right? Our customers really wanted us to provide a solution for cardiac monitoring that they could integrate into a variety of training situations. So the first and most important thing to understand is this system that represents a simulated cardiac monitor can be utilized in any of your training needs and any model of training that you're doing, including using simulators, using task trainers, or even using a standardized patient, right? Because we know sometimes we don't have access to simulators. I think EMS is one of the best models that uses standardized patient. We've all learned in that fashion, doing different things and practicing scenarios on each other. But the Monitor by Laerdal allows you to have at fingertip an opportunity to utilize a training defibrillator, so you don't have the capital purchase as well. So I think that's an important thing to look at, right? We all wish we had more cardiac monitors and that hardware that's really expensive. But with Monitor by Laerdal, we have a variety of different things that we can provide real-time feedback. So it provides instant feedback on quality of CPR as well, because that's the other issue that we recognize that our customers struggle with, right? Is many of the defibrillators today are equipped with quality of CPR feedback that doesn't necessarily work well with a variety of the different mannequins that it can be integrated with. This works very well, giving you that quality of CPR feedback, that real-time feedback that your crews are using in the real world. So again, whether you're EMS, whether it's a crash cart, it is that critical care, acute transport monitor type of thing. It has a user-friendly interface, so it's fabulous, and we can see on our screen it's changing views. So it allows you to pick a variety of different interfaces that we have to match the variety of different systems, whether you're Physio or Zoll or any of the other major manufacturers. It will mimic and look like your cardiac monitor that your people are familiar with. So allowing them to practice those things that they have developed muscle memory with, the buttonology, the interface that they, and Elizabeth said it earlier, practice like you play. As a Canadian, that's our official hockey term, right? We always want to practice like we play. So I'm so excited to hear that, right? So again, the interfaces could be exactly what they are using every day, which makes it so much easier to get your participants to engage, right? Because that's one of your big obstacles in simulation. But there's also data tracking and all kinds of reporting that can be generated from the interface and the interactions from your participants, right? And again, portability and flexibility, it can be what it needs to be, whether it's AED or manual critical care, things like that. So also some enhanced engagement, right? So keeps a participant engaged, right? Again, that's one of the key issues with simulation is dispelling disbelief, getting them to engage, but also keeping them engaged. So it's giving them true live feedback that they need. One note before we move to the next slide, as you see the animations change, we're talking predominantly about cardiac monitoring, how it applies to CPR. But if you've noticed, and you may have noticed, is that one of them is a ventilator interface. So it actually interfaces with another product we called TrueVent. So you can actually have a transport ventilator trainer in your arsenal of equipment to take to your EMS providers as well. So if that's within their scope of practice and ventilator training, again, having extra ventilators, having that capital investment to purchase extra ventilators to train, and then to have a simulator that can react to that ventilator, right, can be really costly. This eliminates the need for a specialized simulator, and it recognizes and gives you all the feedback you would need to do ventilator training. Okay, awesome. So another quick video just to see how it interfaces with Resusci Anne, so you can see the two put together. I think this is a great illustration of a typical training event that we may have in the EMS environment.
Before we get into the product demo, we'd like to introduce you to Monitor by Laerdal. Perfect. Well, Elva, we have Resusci Anne here, and maybe you can discuss with our audience how she works with the setup and some of the great features that she has and how it works with Monitor by Laerdal.
Yeah, sure. And I'm glad that you asked, because this is really unique. We have simulated monitor defibrillator that really integrates with the QCPR of our mannequins. So the QCPR that's built in the mannequin is displayed on the screen. And as an instructor, I can decide whether the student can see his performance or not. So it will depend on the learning objectives, of course. If he's training, it's good that they immediately see the feedback and also have some prompts with how they can improve. If, for example, we are more in a setting of team training, I would not be happy if everybody's looking at the screen. So then I, as an instructor, can toggle that off. And I will show it now on the screen. So it's allow students to see QCPR feedback. If I toggle this off, then it disappears from the screen. So it's really on how you would like to work and in which setting.
And I really love that flexibility because we can show it if we want to give the feedback for the student and how they can improve on their CPR quality, or we can remove it if it's testing or assessment. Again, it's all about flexibility with this product and different ways we can use it. So that's a great feature.
Maybe.
Shall I give it a go? My CPR isn't the greatest, but yeah, maybe you can talk me through on CPR and the whole process and how it works. So
yeah, sure. I will choose a rhythm that requires CPR.
Perfect.
So yeah, you can go ahead and you will see the depth. So the system is now asking to push a little bit deeper and a little bit faster. So you should, yes, a little bit faster more. And also please note that the ECG curves and the SpO2 curves are also adapting to what you are doing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Another aspect of doing CPR, of course, is ventilating the patient, and also there we have some feedback. So if I ventilate the patient, I can perfectly see that my volume is enough or not. So
perfect. And I can see those blue bars. That's great feedback for the students to see if they've got a correct seal, if they've done the right techniques to make sure air gets in. Next question. We've got Resusci Anne QCPR here in front of us, but what other mannequins does this setup work with?
it works with all the Bluetooth compatible mannequins that we have. So the Resusci Anne QCPR, obviously, but also the QCPR Junior and Resusci Baby. So Resusci Baby, Resusci Junior, Resusci Anne, but also the Little Anne QCPR, Little Junior and Little Baby QCPR. So if you have those and you're looking, okay, I would like to have a monitor to add some realism, perfect. You already have a compatible mannequin.
Perfect. Yeah. So it's really any of our Bluetooth mannequins is compatible and fully integrated.
Yes, it is.
Perfect.
So great example. So learn more by clicking on the QR code, but I hope you'll visit it. It's an impressive product. I think it's something that's long overdue. We heard you, and a lot of your needs are addressed. And one of the greatest ones that is so important is that QCPR feedback, right? We saw it in the video in the bottom left-hand corner, because that's what most of our clinicians are practicing today, with some sort of feedback coming from their real life cardiac monitors. So have that in training and have it to be accurate, as well as it impacts all the other parameters that could be possibly impacted on the cardiac monitor. I think is a fabulous option for training, right? So we no longer need to beg and borrow for that extra cardiac monitor that can be so expensive and difficult to have, as to maintain. So the other thing that wasn't touched in that video that I think is a priority is just the safety of the system. For novice learners, we're not delivering and discharging live energy, right? So we have a robust but safe training tool to ensure that they're practicing both best practice, but also safe practice, which is certainly a priority for all of us in education as well. So please visit and review the monitor. I think we touched on a lot of great things, and I just, again, I hope you'll visit Laerdal.com to see some of the solutions that we have. And I think this slide was really intended to sort of illustrate, we have products and solutions to meet all kinds of needs. And if we see the left of the screen, you'll see one of what I think is another fabulous product, was developed for underserviced countries, but it certainly applies in our world today, where we need something that's portable, cost-effective, robust, and very mobile. So does that not scream EMS application, right? And that is Mama Berthy, right? One of those high acuity, low frequency things that I think, if we're all honest with ourselves, scares us. So here's a solution that is very, very simple to help us deliver that training. It's a wearable birthing simulator. Isn't that fabulous, right? And then in the middle, we have our Sim Baby. Sim Baby has come so far, including being able to be connected to what we call the ASL 5000, which is a simulated lung, which allows you to connect Sim Baby as well as some of our other simulators, our SimMan 3G portfolio, our Nursing Anne, and so forth, to actual ventilators, right? So as we see scope of practice increasing, pre-hospital ventilation or ventilators and transport ventilators becoming more prevalent in the world, having that advanced high fidelity simulation capacity as well is really important. But if you just need absolutely robust solutions that meet your very specific needs in EMS, we do have those. The SimMan ALS was designed to meet the demands of the EMS market, with a lot of the features representing the skill set that is expected of today's paramedics and pre-hospital providers, including the ability to have better articulating pelvis and legs and so forth, so it can be found in the sitting position and so forth. Because as Elizabeth said, right, we expect to find a lot of our patients either on the floor in different positions, not in hospital beds. So all kinds of different products and solutions at different price points that are built intentionally for EMS within our portfolio. So I hope you will visit. If you have any of those questions that are specific, feel free to put them in the chat as well so that we can answer them today.
Thank you so much, Liz and Ed, for spending time with us and sharing so much information. The last QR code you see here will bring you to an EMS webpage that has a variety of some of these additional product links and also some industry content. I would like to open the floor for some questions. I know there have been several questions that have come in live as the presentation has been going. We've been trying to answer as many of those as we can. So I'm just looking virtually at my panelists. I think we can all see the same questions. I don't know if there's any of those that are still open we want to try to address live, or we can open up the lines for additional questions.
There are some unanswered ones that I'll just help run through, if you don't mind, Christine. I think they're mostly for Ed. If you want to come off mute again, Ed. The first was Renee asked if the QCPR upgrade was available for Resusci Anne.
So yeah, depending on when the actual Resusci Anne was built, Russ, and that answer sort of really illustrates the robustness of our Resusci Anne platform. And remember, Resusci Anne is one of our legacy products, right? So she's been around since basically the 60s. So depending on which version of Resusci Anne you have, there are QCPR kits or upgrade kits that are available with a variety of different ways to sort of present the actual feedback, whether it be a skill guide that plugs into the shoulder or an application that goes on your phone and Bluetooth connected. So we can absolutely once we know which one you have, let you know exactly what's available for that. But again, we do see some of them that can't be upgraded because they are so robust and last so long. We do have some very, very old ones still in use today, but the majority can be.
Great, thank you, Ed. The next was, what is the rough cost of a monitor by Laerdal?
Very good question. It depends what country you're in, and we'll be happy to send you a quote accordingly with a variety of different options available. So it also it depends on what you have. So if you can drop us a line in the chat, we'll make sure that you get a non committable quote. So again, don't worry, it's not the sales pitch, but we'll just make sure that we give you the true numbers according to where you are. Again, being an international company, and I did see some international guests here as well today. So thank you everybody from joining all over, including my hometown, Toronto. I saw somebody pop up from Toronto, so I was so excited. It added a little nerves as well, but thank you.
Yeah, and my email's in the chat as well for any of those. If you guys are curious, I'm happy to work up just a rough estimate for you on any of these things that you might like. We'll work with you to get you to the right people for that. Which brands of ventilators does the ventilator simulator emulate?
So the majority of TrueVent is focused basically on the Draeger model. So you'd find the most similarities, although it does have some very unique views and buttons that are different. But if you are familiar with Draeger, then you would find some similarities.
Perfect. That came up actually in addition with also, do we offer simulator IV pumps? Robin said that they're focusing on interfacility transfer care at the moment. So they were curious if we have those.
So what a great question. And it's a question that all of a sudden has been asked an awful lot lately. And it's so the short answer, unfortunately, we do not have any simulated IV pumps, but that is again something else that we've heard, and that is something that we have pushed up within our organization to see if that is something that is doable, and possibly working with one of the manufacturers to produce something of that nature. But nothing that we have currently would meet those needs.
Perfect. Another really great question from Ross. Actually, I'll do Mark first in order. He says he has upgraded little ands. Does the monitor work on those? And I actually feel I can answer that because the monitor is a training monitor. Yeah, I can work on anything. You could put it on a pillow. Now, please don't put it on other people just because bad practice, right? But yes, it will work on anything because it's not delivering a live shock and it's an emulated monitor. So feel free if you wanted to get it, it can work on those little ands in conjunction with that training that you might do. Another good one was Ross said that they love the ability to choose between different monitor screens. However, is there going to be an update so the monitors have more options?
Yeah, so that is a great question, right? We always want to be relevant and the latest and greatest. So that is something that we work with on a regular basis with the different monitoring companies, whether it be Physio, Philips, Zoll, and the whole list is on the webpage, by the way. And there's some that I had even heard of. So we do have a really comprehensive library of screens. The answer, though, I think is when they would probably, or the question is really when would they be available? We have to wait for the monitor manufacturer to release publicly, because they're an FDA certified device, through the normal channels into the market before they will then give us permission to emulate that. So there is always going to be, unfortunately, a lag from the time that the clinical device is available to the simulated as well. And we are absolutely dependent on the manufacturer's permission to simulate or to emulate their monitor as well. So sometimes there are licensing and contractual things that will slow that down as well, but we try to be fairly responsive and get it out as soon as we can. And it would be fabulous if we could finally get to a place where we are delivering a Laerdal by monitor with your brand new cardiac monitors, right? Because we know that one of the biggest training challenges is the introduction to brand new equipment, such as a cardiac monitoring system, right? That's a significant impact to practice. That simulation definitely has a fabulous ability to impact in a positive way, right? So whether it be an IV catheter or a new cardiac monitor. So we are actively trying to make sure that we get those out as quick as possible so that you can utilize them in your training mode for the introductions or introduction to new equipment.
Great. I have another question that came in too. And maybe for you, what is the best way to incorporate high fidelity simulation into an existing training program?
So I think that's a great question, right? And I think my first question would also be is what is high fidelity, right? And if we use the word fidelity, we break that question down. Fidelity is about realism, right? So I think we need to identify, obviously, always the learning objectives based on goals that are achievable and scalable. And I think it's about introducing it in baby steps, right? Because part of the struggle is to get the participants to engage and interact in the simulation, right? And the other caution that I always say to everybody, remember when we're doing simulations, especially in the working environment, right, is that every participant comes feeling they're being tested, and every one of us educators thinking we're teaching, and that's two different planes, right? So I think it's having a specific goal, a measurable outcome, and then introducing it and making sure you reassess and then rinse and repeat if we want to use that analogy.
Okay, thank you. And one last question. Is it possible to track the progress of trainees using the monitor and Resusci Anne QCPR?
Absolutely. So all of our simulation solutions, to be quite frank, have an ability to measure and to track, right? Because we can't improve that we can't measure. So that's a mantra that is often utilized in simulation, and especially, well, in education, but especially simulation. So both the monitor has data that it tracks, as well as the QCPR data is absolutely is trackable. But all of our, even our high fidelity simulators, have an event log and data. So as we used to say, all the data that matters, right? So data is a key part of learning and growth, and it's very important. Data not only just to improve our clinical skills and to deliver our educational outcomes, but I'll take it one step further, guys. With data helps us as administrators, right? We prove our concept. We want to, track how many simulations we're doing, who's doing them, and it proves that we're improving outcomes, because ultimately that's what education is all about, is to improve those outcomes. And there is nothing more important than data. So every aspect of our simulation should be driven by recording and then presenting that data.
Great. Well, great questions. Thank you all for the great engagement in today's session and for your attention today. Before we wrap up today's session, I would like to take just a moment to share a very quick overview about our company's mission. Laerdal is very proud of the trusted brand that we've developed in EMS, and we're also driven by our company mission of helping save lives. In 2020, we set a bold goal, helping save 1 million lives every year by 2030. It's a goal that we all share, and it really continues to guide and inspire the work that we do every day. I just want to point out the word helping really matters, because we realize that we do not save lives. It's the first responders, midwives, nurses, our doctors, and bystanders are the ones that are saving lives. But our role is to support those who train and equip them to do it even better. So just wanted to share some highlights on our progress to this goal. The first is that over 15 million bystanders have been trained worldwide in CPR through our gamified and digital solutions. 2 million providers have maintained their CPR skills through our RQI program, which we estimate will save 8,000 lives a year. There's been a 75% drop in maternal deaths and 40% reduction in early newborn deaths in Tanzania through our Safer Births Bundle of Care program. And we've made a pledge to help scale the basic emergency care program with the WHO organization. That program may reduce mortality from injury and sepsis by 50% and lead to 50,000 more lives saved. So if you'd like to learn more about our mission or our 2025 impact update, please visit the URL that you see there on your screen. So in closing, I just want to say thank you again to our wonderful speakers, Liz and Ed. Thank you so much to NAEMSE for collaborating today with us on this session. And thank you to our audience for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again. We will be hosting another webinar with NAEMSE on August 28th. And just want to say take care and hope everyone has a great day.